A WWE star was granted their release because they didn't want to work for Vince McMahon. Two world champions return at Impact Slammiversary last night. Don Callis was assaulted by a fan at AAA Triple Mania last night, and a WWE star suffered a separated shoulder on this past Friday SmackDown. Hello, and welcome to the Solo Sunday News here at What Culture Wrestling with myself, Andrew Pollard. I hope you're having a great day. There's a whole lot of wrestling going on between so many promotions right now. The G1 Climax, AEW Collision, AEW Battle of the Belts, Triple Mania, Slammiversary. There's a lot right now, so let's get into it. And Eric Young, he ties into these first two stories here. EY, he requested his WWE release in April because he did not want to work for Vince McMahon. Now, it's a strange one with Eric Young because he'd returned to Impact Wrestling and was with the company up until, I think he finished up October, November last year. Due to the taping schedule of Impact, though, his final appearance was in December, where he was seemingly killed off. He was stabbed by Dina, his stablemate, seemingly fatally stabbed, and that was it for Eric Young. Now, he signed with WWE in November to return to the promotion, and then not much happened. Now, when Eric Young re-signed with WWE, that was under the stewardship of Triple H, of Paul Levesque. Now, of course, Vince McMahon managed to weasel his way back into power at the start of this year. And once he got to April, Eric Young just seemingly had enough, and he just asked for his release because he did not want to work for Vince McMahon. Now, obviously, Eric Young had great success in NXT under Triple H, and you'd have thought that Triple H leading the charge creatively would have meant more for more chances and opportunities for Eric Young, maybe a reformation of Sanity in some version, some form on the main roster. Unfortunately, that's not happened. Now, it was Fightful Select that broke this news. The EY actually requested his release in April, and that's, well, as always with WWE, you have the non-compete clause in place. That's recently expired, which is why he was able to turn up at Impact Wrestling Slammiversary last night. Now, here in this report from Fightful, it says that basically the reason that Eric Young didn't want to work for Vince was down to moral, creative, and personal reasons. It's there were creative plans in the works to do something with Eric Young after WrestleMania. That obviously has not come to pass, and in fact, Eric Young was released shortly after WrestleMania, by the sounds of it, in April. So he's now back in Impact Wrestling, but he's not the only former world champion who returned last night at Slammiversary to Impact. Oh no, Josh Alexander is also back. Now, in the case of Eric Young, he turned up as the mystery partner for Scott D'Amore. Of course, those guys go all the way back to Team Canada, back in the early days of the NWA TNAs, it was then. Eric Young, mystery partner of Scott D'Amore. They beat Dina and Bully Ray. Eric Young getting the win there. EY, of course, a two-time world champion in Impact Wrestling. Another two-time world heavyweight champion Impact as well is Josh Alexander. Now, the walking weapon was on an awesome tear of 300 and I have it noted down, 335 days as the world champion up until he had to vacate that title back in March. That is a record for Impact in terms of longest reigning men's world champ. And Josh Alexander, having been out since March with a torn triceps, returned at the close of Slammiversary last night, where he confronted Alex Shelley. Alex Shelley had beaten Nick Aldis to retain the Impact World title, and that's when the Walking Weapons music hit. He came down the ring. Very good reaction to him, of course. He is, for a while, Impact was on his back. And a phenomenal talent, Josh Alexander, as is Alex Shelley, as is Nick Aldis. There's a lot of greatness in Impact Wrestling these days. But yes, all Josh Alexander did was confront Shelley face to face, get a microphone, say, "I'm back." So that would indicate to me he's cleared. He's overcome his triceps recovery. And for one, I'm all the happier for seeing Josh Alexander back in a wrestling ring. That's going to be good to keep an eye on. I mean, Slammiversary last night, I've not managed to catch all of it because I had to be up to watch 2 hours of Collision and an hour of Battle of the Belts and other stuff this morning. So I've seen bits of Slammiversary. There are 5 title changes, including most notably Trinity, as in the former Naomi is the new Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, tapping out Deonna Purrazzo. Again, the 2 great talents there. That's a match from the bits I've seen that looked very good. I will go back and watch Slammiversary from start to finish, though, shortly after recording on this. Right, our next story, and it's bit of a concerning one, to be honest. Don Callis was assaulted last night. Now, this is very much said to not be a work. That was from Brian Alvarez at the Wrestling Observer. He's the one who reported this story. Now, Don Callis was at AAA Triple Mania 31 Tijuana last night, where Kenny Omega challenged challenged Vikingo for the AAA Mega Championship. Callis came out as if he was going to be in the corner of Vikingo. Conan came out and said, "Nah, mate, you're not. Off you go to the back." And then Kenny would lose. Vikingo retain the AAA Mega title. But then there was a post pay-per-view press conference, as we've seen AEW do lots, as WWE started doing quite a bit as well, where Don Callis confronted Kenny Omega, verbals, and then Takeshita appeared, and there was a brawl between Kenny and Takeshita, and that was all part of the plan. That was all part of the story, all part of the script ahead of Blood and Guts on Wednesday. But then things went a bit awry, where a fan very really attacked Don Callis here. Now, as Brian Alvarez notes, the fan jumped Don from behind, ripped his suit, concussed his eardrum, and busted open his mouth while he was trying to choke out Don from behind. Don was screaming profanities at the fan before he was pulled off and was said to be livid afterwards. Now, this story as well also notes that Don Callis injured his ankle and his neck, and at the time of this recording, he was said to be on his way to San Diego to have basically just to be medically assessed. So this is a very freaky, scary incident for Don Callis, I'm sure. But you don't really get this sort of stuff in professional wrestling these days. I mean, Don Callis, a few people in wrestling right now have as much heat as Don Callis, and this very much is that old school heat where you hear of, like, Roddy Piper getting attacked in the crowd, getting stabbed, just crazy stuff like this. So hopefully Don's not too shaken up. Hopefully the injuries he sustained aren't too serious, and hopefully that the fan in question has been dealt with by the authorities, because stuff like that, it's a whole new world to what the fan heat used to be in the 60s, 70s, 80s, where people, it was commonplace for the villains of the day to have that. There was always that threat, that concern of the fans hopping the rail and attacking somebody. You don't really expect to see it these days. So hopefully Don Callis is on the mend and will be a part of AEW Blood and Guts on Wednesday. And last little story here, and Elton Prince of Pretty Deadly is going to be out of action for a little while. Now, this story from Mike Johnson over at PW Insider. Mike Johnson, always great content. Said that Elton Prince suffered a separated shoulder on Friday. Now, Pretty Deadly took on the Brawling Brutes, as in Sheamus and Rich Holland on Friday. And it was during this match where Rich Holland goes for the pounce, and where it was when Elton Prince landed, that's when he suffered this injury. Now, he did go on to finish the match. In fact, it was him who got the pinfall as well on Rich Holland, getting the 1-2-3 after the top rope leg drop. But yes, this has been described as a freak accident, and Elton Prince will be out of action for at least a few weeks. So hopefully it's nothing too serious that will keep him out of action for too long. But it's not great. And I mean, Twitter, man, it's a strange old place at times, but because of this injury, a whole bunch of people started taking shots at Rich Holland, because bringing up, obviously, Rich Holland and the unfortunate accident that happened with Big E. And so, a lot of people were taking shots at Rich, and Rich himself went onto Twitter to explain where the incident happened, where it was that pounce. And it looks since then that Rich Holland has deleted his Twitter account, which you never like to see, but yeah, man. You're always going to get, unfortunately, idiots on social media. Speaking of which, let's get to some not idiots on social media and get to your Twitter questions. The first one in is Hector Garcia III. Hey, Hector. Happy Solo Sunday. What move would you dread taking, and from what wrestler? And what move would you like to perform, and on what wrestler? Daisy says, hello from Chicago. Daisy looking absolutely magnificent there. As always on a Sunday, send me your pet pictures. Always puts a smile on my face. As for what move I would dread taking, I wouldn't be lining up to take a Tiger Driver 91 anytime soon. The first one that comes to mind, though, instantly springs to mind, is the Vertebreaker. That used to look, oh my word, that used to look horrendous. So that comes to mind, Shane Helms' Vertebreaker from back in the day. And Shane Helms is a great wrestler, and that move looked brilliant, but it's just that it just looks scary, very scary. As for what move I'd like to perform and on what wrestler, I mean, it'd have to be a sharpshooter, surely. Mr. Bret Hart guy here. It'd have to be a sharpshooter by default. And it'd be on Shawn Michaels. There we go. There we go. Right, what other questions have we got here? I'm just scrolling through the Twitter. Blah, 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 blah. There are some. There we go. The one true Aaron Taylor. Should Pac be the face of AEW's media tour and the build to Wembley? In character, of course. Oof. Yeah, gotta love the bastard. It's great to have him back on TV. It's been a really strange time for Pac since he's joined AEW, because it's just obviously the pandemic didn't help in terms of travel, but it's just like he'll be here and he'll be really good, and then he'll disappear for 3 months, 4 months, or whatever it feels like. And then he comes back and it's like, there he is. And then a couple of weeks later, he'll be gone again. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be silly not to have Pac part of a focus of the media tour ahead of All In coming to Wembley here in the UK. I think Jamie Hayter as well has to be front and center of that. Soraya as well will be there. But I think just Jamie Hayter, her natural charisma and sass it's always so entertaining, and I think she'd be a great heading at the charge, as well as you have the other major names in AEW, like I'm sure Kenny will do lots of the press. I'm sure CM Punk with a microphone and part of a press conference. Why not? That's always guaranteed to end well. And MJF, and there's so many people who are there who can be great with the press and to promote things. So yeah, there's a lot to choose from. McDoodles got in touch. If all the champions in AEW had their belts stripped of them, and AEW this sort of reboot type thing, who should hold the belts? One bonus thing is one person who currently holds a belt can keep it for the reboot. Holy moly. No, never. We saw WCW do this when it was kind of throwing things at the wall to see if anything would stick, where they just stripped all their champions and started from scratch, essentially. I mean, if I was going to keep one belt on one person, I guess right now it would be, mind you, I was going to go MJF, but then FTR. You know what? I'm going to keep the tag titles on FTR, and just for the giggles, I'm going to give the world title to CM Punk. As for the women's title, that will be going to Jamie Hayter. As for the TBS title, that'll be going to Britt Baker, I think. What the international title? That's one that Orange Cassidy's doing such a great job with that. But if I'm going to give it to somebody, let's see, who could have that title? This is where I just had loads of dead air and think for a second, as editor Ryan encourages me to get on with things. I'll come back to that one. But yes, they're kind of the rough ones I go with on that. In terms of what the TNT title, I'd put it on Orange Cassidy, and I'd have him do with that what he's done with the international title, where basically the international title has become the TV title of its day, where it's defended every single week. So there we go. That's a nice little switcheroo to keep some sort of gold on Orange. Blackheart, 185th to the Demon Throne. Wonder who's 184th. Happy Sunday, buddy. Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you, Blackheart. So with how the Punk Starks match ended, how do you think this goes? Do we see the return of heel Starks or start the decline of Punk as he gets angrier and angrier at his losses and how they happen? Yes, if you've not seen AEW Collision, because we have our ups and downs on the way, later on there'll be written form from myself, and then Simon Miller will be here with the video format. So that's why I'm not really going into any of the details from that. But Ricky Starks won the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament. Willow Nightingale won the women's against Ruby Soho, but Ricky Starks defeated CM Punk in a really fun match. But he did it in an underhand way, where it was a roll-up, counted into a roll-up from Starks, where he held the second rope for extra leverage, 1, 2, 3. And that's CM Punk's first loss since returning to AEW. And then afterwards, Jushin Thunder Liger, one of the biggest legends of legends, was flown out to Calgary, Alberta, Canada to present Ricky Starks in his full gear, the full Liger gear, just the classic look, the red and the white, to present Ricky Starks with the Owen tournament. Of course, I mean, Jushin Thunder Liger trained in the Hart Dungeon, competed for Stampede Wrestling, Stu Hart's promotion, and also had a whole bunch of bangers with Owen Hart. And Ricky Starks just runs past him, grabs the trophy, and that's it. So Liger, it was kind of a pointless to fly him all the way out there. Just literally, I'm doing nothing. Just look a bit confused, like, oh, Ricky Starks has just ran off with it. So Ricky Starks, it seems to be teasing the start of a heel turn. which I'm okay with. Absolute, the stroke daddy, whatever. As babyface, as a heel, he's great. I think if you look at the layout of the land at the moment, especially on Collision, there's a lot of baby faces there. I mean, Miro's come back as a baby face. Andrade's a baby face. Obviously, you've got CM Punk, you've got FTR. You've had Will Hobbs has essentially turned baby face, is very much in the process of that. So, I mean, if you're Ricky Starks and you're thinking for that show that you want to get to be a solid main event player, then maybe heel turn's a good thing. There's more options for you then. So it does seem to be, for me, the start of a heel turn, and I'm good with that. I mean, I do like the idea you put out there, Blackheart, of, is it the start of decline for CM Punk because he gets angry and angry at his losses? That could be another direction to go because, of course, CM Punk got a very split reaction, as is per the course these days, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. One of those places that you have to say, or the full Calgary, Alberta, Canada. It's never just Calgary. It's Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Show us some respect. So yeah, that's kind of where I think things go. I think Starks, does cement a heel turn. But I'd be cool with Starks the babyface because he got a babyface reaction, even though he cheated because he beat CM Punk, and half of that Calgary, Alberta, Canada crowd were against CM Punk. Right, next question. Mitchell Gillum's got in touch. Hey, Mitchell, thoughts on title matches being set for pay-per-views against one opponent, then a champ defending the title in matches against different opponents leading up to that pay-per-view? I feel like the value of those matches because we know the champ will win. Yeah, there's a very good argument for that, mate. I would it's not ideal. It depends whether you're the person challenging at the pay-per-view, if they're particularly focused on the title, or if they're particularly focused on that person. If they're focused on that person, you know that match is going to happen regardless. And so any title matches between them we know the result. If that person's more focused on the title rather than the opponent, then you can kind of get away with it if the belt changes hands before then. That's a very loose way of putting it. But yeah, it's not ideal because it does bring a sense of predictability to it. But I mean, we've seen it at times before, especially in the Attitude Era, where everything was hot potatoed, where an advertised title match at a pay-per-view didn't necessarily play out how we thought it was going to be because there'd be a change in champion before then, or there'd be other people involved in triple threats and four ways. And yeah, so it's not ideal, but there are ways around it. We've got a couple of quick questions come in. Ashley, this will be our last one. Ashley Short 13 has got in touch. Hey, Ashley. Mullen Legend. No, not me, sir. First, the Rev Pro Tag Team titles, now Impact Wrestling Tag titles. What are your thoughts on the meteoric rise of Subculture? Yes, Impact Slammiversary, as mentioned, took place last night, and Subculture, as in Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, they are the new Impact Wrestling Tag Team champions. It's cool to see. It's very cool to see. They're a really cool team. I felt when we saw all those cuts of NXT UK, there was some where it's like, oh, right, okay. But there's other ones where you're thinking you could really have kept them and done something more with them, maybe in main NXT, maybe on the main roster. And I think Mandrews and Flash Morgan Webster were two talents like that, as well as Danny as well. But so it's cool to see. I'm very happy for it. I'm looking forward to properly getting to check out Slammiversary shortly after I have finished this, while I type away on my ups and downs for AEW Collision, which was another phenomenal episode of AEW Collision with another Match of the Year candidate from FTR and the Bang Bang Gang. So I will leave you to get on with that. I hope you're having a great day. If not, I hope it turns around. I'm Andrew Pollard here from What Culture Wrestling. This has been the Solo Sunday News. Wilborn and somebody's back tomorrow because I know Andy Murray's off. So it'll be Wilborn and I'm going to guess Michael Hamflett. But hey, that's a nice surprise for you. Now have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you next week.